Hi guys, it's Quinn here. If you enjoy my videos, consider hitting the like button. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm really notices me. Annihilation by Jeff VanderMeer is one of my favorite science fiction books to come out in the last 10 years. It's no secret that I'm a big fan of Lovecraftian horror, and this particular book is one of the best modern examples that I can locate. Now, you might have seen the 2018 adaptation of this book of the same title. It's a fantastic movie, but different in a lot of ways from the book. The book is much more cerebral and less action-driven. The strangeness and the wildness of the environment produces a sense of uneasiness and mystery and dread. The book follows an expedition of 4 people as they enter Area X. A secretive government organization has gathered them up to explore the mysterious area and keep journals on everything that they encounter. But the world they enter once they cross the border into Area X is one almost impossible to describe. Now, I have to stop here to say, if you have not read this book, you might want to stop to avoid spoilers, even if you've seen the movie, because there are some pretty significant differences. A key fact about this book is that the members of the expedition team, other than the psychologist, are told almost nothing about what Area X is, or even exactly what they're doing there. We learn in the book that over the course of 18 months, the last expedition team disappeared one by one from Area X and reappeared with their families, only they were different, changed somehow. Something about them was uncanny. They were themselves, but not themselves. They all died of cancer within 6 months. It is never revealed how they left Area X. It is also revealed that several of the earlier expeditions either committed suicide or killed each other. A curious thing about the current expedition, which is supposedly Expedition Number 12, is that they are given archaic technology, nothing that represents the current state of human technological progress. They are given old guns, old cameras, nothing from the present. They are also given some kind of measuring device. When it glows red, they were to remove themselves to a safe place, but they were not told what they were hiding from, or what the measurement warned against, or exactly what the device measured. They were also forbidden watches and compasses. A major part of what drives this book is trying to figure out how much can we actually trust the government organization that sent them on this expedition. And this is intensified when we realize the role in which hypnotism plays in this story. Now, this is an aspect of the book that's mostly missing from the movie. The leader of this expedition is a psychologist. The psychologist has certain commands and trigger words which allow her to control the others in the group. At one point in the story, due to an infection from strange spores, the protagonist, the biologist, becomes immune to the hypnosis. Over the course of the book, she wonders how much of what they were told about Area X was even true to begin with. Perhaps their entire conception of what it was, what little conception they had, was totally inaccurate to start with. No one had as yet plumbed the depths of intent or purpose in a way that had obstructed that intent or purpose. Everyone had died or been killed, returned changed or returned unchanged, but Area X had continued on as it always had. While our superiors seemed to fear any radical reimagining of the situation so much that they had continued to send in knowledge-strapped expeditions as if this was the only option. Feed Area X, but do not antagonize it, and perhaps someone will, through luck or mere repetition, hit upon some explanation, some solution, before the world becomes Area X. A chilling fact about Area X is that this had been a place where people once lived. But even before this area along the coast became known as Area X, it had not been a normal place. Even years before the so-called border appeared, there had been a proto-Area X. By the end of the novel, the protagonist discovers that going back years, there had been remissions, followed by flare-ups and horrible manifestations, the ebbing and flowing of strange life, pulsing, breathing in and out, until it finally bloomed into Area X and started expanding outward. The horror and the mystery is greatly expanded when we discover that the government has sent way more than 12 expeditions. The expeditions possibly go back decades. The entity, if you can call it that is causing all of this, is named by the biologist in the book, the Crawler. The Crawler is some kind of being that lives in what the book calls the tower, but it's not really a tower. It's more like a tunnel that goes straight down into the earth. The walls of the tunnel itself are live somehow, and forming upon the walls are various strange words. But whether it decays under the earth, or above on green fields, or out to sea, or in the very air, all shall come to revelation and to revel in the knowledge of the strangling fruit, and the hand of the sinner shall rejoice. For there is no sin in shadow or in light that the seeds of the dead cannot forgive. There shall be a fire that knows your name, and in the presence of the strangling fruit, its dark flame shall acquire every part of you. For whatever reason, the creature changes everything around it. It takes DNA and mixes it. We discover that the moss on the ground has human DNA. We see dolphins with human eyes. This thing, whatever it is remaking the world as it sees fit. It is taking the world from us and creating it anew, and the environment that it's producing is pristine. Perhaps horrific, confusing, or incomprehensible to us, perhaps uninhabitable to us as humans, but the ecosystem that lives there thrives. The author is definitely making a statement about how we treat the earth, how we abuse its resources, and here comes this life form giving the planet back to nature, not nature as we know it, a new nature. But how can we say that what it's doing is bad compared to what we've done to the planet? We don't know exactly where this creature came from, but we do know that it manifested initially near the lighthouse on the coast. We know this because the lighthouse keeper was the first human that it encountered, and it kept the lighthouse keeper with it in horror and agony and ecstasy forever. Trapped within the crawler, the last lighthouse keeper stared out at me, so it seemed, not just across a vast unbridgeable gulf, but also out across the years, for though thinner, his eyes receded in their orbits, his jawlines more pronounced. The lighthouse keeper had not aged a day since that photograph was taken more than 30 years ago. This man, who now existed in a place none of us could comprehend, did he know what he had become? Or had he gone mad long ago? Could he really even see me? The creature had taken the lighthouse keeper, merged with him somehow, keeping him alive in terrible stasis. It is not at all clear why it did this. The motivations of the creature seem unclear, even random at face value. But they aren't. It is intelligent, though it may be incomprehensible to the human mind. Some of the crawler's motivation can be deciphered from the writings that it left on the wall. For instance, "I shall bring forth the seeds of the dead." This is a reference to the crawler creating doppelgangers of the dead members of the expedition team, and a reference to human DNA being mixed into the ecosystem, literally seeds of the dead. Another example is, "There shall be a fire that knows your name, and in the presence of the strangling fruit, its dark flame shall acquire every part of you." This is a reference to how the crawler acquires information. We see this at the end of the book when the crawler, with its incomprehensible flame, reaches into the body of the biologist to gather all of her DNA and all of her thoughts and copy them. So maybe the crawler is a traveler from another dimension or from outer space. Maybe it's a scientist and it's doing experiments. Maybe the changes to our environment aren't necessary for it to live, It is just simply testing reactions and measuring the change of the environment, not really considering that this is affecting the current ecosystem or that it's affecting humanity. It could also be potentially true that the crawler is intentionally trying to save the Earth from humanity by changing everything and remaking it anew. And the flip side of that, it could be that the crawler is a malevolent entity. Now, I tend to think that the first option is the most true. I think the crawler is a traveler, an explorer. I think the changes that it is causing to our environment is either a byproduct of its natural existence that has nothing to do with any intent or will on its own part, or it's consciously manipulating the environment to suit itself. It could also be that the crawler is an agent or manifestation of the will of some other being or entity. It's also mentioned in the series that Area X is expanding faster and faster. It will continue to expand, and there seems to be nothing they can do about it, and they still have no idea what the crawler is or where it came from. Perhaps he had seen it, coming from atop the lighthouse, the event arriving like a kind of wave, and what had manifested. What do I believe? Think of it as a thorn, perhaps a long, thick thorn so large it's buried deep in the side of the world, injecting itself into the world. Emanating from this giant thorn is an endless, perhaps automatic need to assimilate and to mimic. Assimilator and assimilated interact through the catalyst of a script of words, which powers the engine of transformation. Perhaps it is a creature living in perfect symbiosis with a host of other creatures. Perhaps it is merely a machine. But in either instance, if it has intelligence, that intelligence is far different from our own. It creates out of our ecosystem a new world whose processes and aims are utterly alien, one that works through supreme acts of mirroring, and by remaining hidden in so many other ways, all without surrendering the foundations of its otherness, and it becomes what it encounters. Annihilation is one of my favorite modern Lovecraftian style science fiction horror books, so if you're interested in that sort of thing, definitely check this book out. Have you read it already? What did you think? Also, have you read the other books in the series? I haven't yet, but I plan on doing so soon. I might cover them on the channel in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out. Between demonetization and just the unstable nature of ad revenue on YouTube, and due to constant rule changes and increased censorship, YouTube isn't the best place for content creators. If you want to support the channel and make sure we stay afloat, consider checking out our Patreon. We've got all new perks including access to a Patreon-only channel on Discord, early access to videos, and a once-a-month patron-only live stream. Also, $10 and up patrons get a copy of the ebook and the audiobook version of my graphic novel, Tadia. We've got other perks like your name appearing in videos, and also special roles in the Discord server, and more perks to come. Check it out. Thanks, guys. Just a heads up for those of you that may be interested, my next graphic novel, The Lie Behind the Star, is launching February 2023. You can sign up now to get on the email mailing list to get notified as soon as it launches. More information on my website, link in the description. Thank you guys so much.